Monica Kretschmer, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Universal Women's Network and Woman of Inspiration. And this is the Woman of Inspiration podcast, where we speak with women who are leading by example, ignoring the naysayers, and inspiring others to dream big. Now, today we have a very special guest joining us all the way from Taiwan. Now, I have to say, 15-hour difference between you and I today, Carmen. It's your 8 o'clock in the morning. It's my 5 o'clock
Yes.
p.m. So it really took some planning to make sure that we actually got this interview. So I'm so excited.
Me
For
too.
those of you listening, it is my pleasure to introduce you to Carmen von Arnoldi.
Arnoldi, yes.
Arnoldi, I'm saying it correctly. And she is an executive assistant and executive coach at GSK. So it's a global company, and it's just, you've got how many employees within the company?
So within Taiwan, it's over 200, but globally, it's around 10,000.
Okay, so we're talking a very large company. And so I
Yeah.
know there's a story, Carmen, of how you
Mhm.
actually landed this role. And we were talking in the green room a little bit about, your journey and how inspiring it is that you're taking on all these things that, when we talk about women reaching, dreaming big, there's one little thing that needs to happen: action.
Mm.
So you, my
Yes.
dear, are Action Jackson. You
Yeah,
go for it.
yes, I think you can say that. You know what for me, Monica, like I never want to have regrets. I never want to have regrets. So 3 years ago, when my partner said, "Hey, babe, um, how about relocating to Taiwan?" First of all, I thought, Taiwan? I'm not really sure where Taiwan is. So Taiwan is an island. So we're surrounded by Japan, Korea, Indonesia in the south, and then of course China, Singapore on the other side. So at first I thought, I'm not really sure, because to be honest, in 2008 we actually moved to Beijing, China, and I have to say that was an interesting adventure as well. Maybe it was because I was younger, but to be honest, I think after half a year, 9 months, I said, you know, I think I just want to go home. I'm a people person, so for me it's very important. I'm able to connect with people. Like even if I don't speak the language, I need to feel there's a connection, that I can use my nonverbal communication to connect with you, to point or whatnot. But in Beijing, um, I just couldn't get that connection with people. I'm a very expressive person, but then if the other person is like blank and nothing happens, it actually kind of frustrated me. There was no good internet connection. I couldn't, catch up with my family in the Netherlands. So after 9 months, we left. So 3 years ago, when he said, you know what about Taiwan? I felt like, well, I'm not really sure, because I don't want to have another experience like that of feeling lonely and feeling lost and feeling like an alien, where I could only, you see people and what we have in common, but we only look alike and that's it. So 3 years ago, yeah, so we moved to Taiwan. And that also has been an incredible journey. And the only thought for me at that time when he asked me, I thought, I don't want to have any regrets. I don't want to 1 year from now say, oh my God, I could have had this amazing adventure, either turn out for the good or the bad. So the only condition I had was, okay, I want to go, but I'll give myself a year to find a job. And if I don't find a job, then I'm going home. And I had another condition. I said, before we make this decision, I want to go to Taiwan just to feel, can I land here? Can I build a life here? Because being relocated and sent out for an assignment, like you never really know for how long it is. Is it for 2 years, 3 years? So we went April 2017, and he was already here. So I flew by myself. of course, a bit excited because you go to an island where you've never been, no idea, don't speak the language. Got into the plane, and at that moment, I already felt like, oh my God, these people are so friendly. Uh, okay, there's hope. It might work out. And then I landed, and I still remember I got into the taxi, and I just got this feeling over me. I felt like that I needed to be here. No, just like a very strong feeling. And then I called him and I said, hey, I think we should do this. We should move to Taiwan. And so he asked me why. I said, I don't know. I just feel I need to be here. Um, and then 4 or 5 months later, we moved with me. So I quit my job in Holland, gave up we left our home behind, family and friends. And so October 2017, um, we landed here, and I started building a new life here. Yeah, so action Jackson, as you said, action Jackson, right? Yeah, so yeah, so we just did it. And what, because people always ask me about Carmen, like, but why? So there's two reasons. So for me, it was like something from the inside that just told me I needed to be here. And the other reason was I don't want to have regrets, you know. So now it's 3 years. We're 3 years further in life. Yeah.
And so in
Yeah.
that 3 years time, I mean, right
Yeah.
now we're still in very deep into the pandemic. And so
Yes.
not only did you uproot your entire life to an
Yeah.
unknown, which I think
Yeah.
a lot of people can really relate to right now, your choice, right? It was
Yeah.
your decision to sort of
Yeah.
put yourself in this unknown situation.
Yeah.
New language, new city, completely
Yeah.
no idea what to expect, no job.
Yeah.
You had a little safe net because you had a partner there, but still your independence as a woman, you're
Yeah.
leaving everything behind.
Yeah.
So tell me about, we had a conversation in the green room just a little bit about, that journey about,
Yeah.
your timeline. You gave yourself 1 year to make it
Yeah.
go. What happened in the
Yeah.
11th month?
Yeah. So as I told you, when I uh, landed here, so actually, I think the first week, 2 weeks, I already started with my job hunt. So I have a background in HR management, project management, as an advisor and counselor in the Netherlands, and also background as a special needs teacher. So I thought, I can do this. Will be easy. I have almost 20 years of experience, and I think I'm quite nice and approachable, and I have my whole professional skill set. So but interview after interview, they were all really excited, but always the comment, sorry Carmen, you don't speak Mandarin. So that continued. I started to study Mandarin, so I really went back to university 5 days a week. So that was on itself an experience, where you go back in time, like around 15, 20 years, but also to get out of my comfort zone, but at the same time still continuing my job hunt. And as you mentioned, Monica, I set myself a goal, a year. In April, so around after 5, 6 months, I went to a Women in Business network event, even though at that time I was not a woman in business, but I thought, you know what, just go out there, go out of your comfort zone, meet some people. And that was actually my only thought, just go out there. And of course I remember even it was at the W Hotel in Taipei, and I got out of the taxi, and I even remembering calling my partner, okay, I'm not going to do this because, I'm not even a woman in business. So what am I doing here? No, just go. Got out of the elevator, even thinking, oh, you know what? Honestly, what am I doing here? But then I got a really warm welcome from Fiona. She's actually became a very good friend now. She was the host of the Women Business and Network event, so she welcomed me. I met there at that time GM from GSK Taiwan, who recently also moved. So we just had like an informal talk uh, on the culture, on, how are you dealing with missing family, the language, like such a different culture. So there was just a very informal conversation. So I moved on my journey. And then actually in my 11th month, I actually think like in my second week in my 11th month, I told my partner, you know what, like I still have like 2 weeks left. I think it's time, I have to be realistic. I know what I can do. Like I believe in myself, but apparently the language barrier is a thing here. So um, yeah, I think I have to accept that there's no job for me here. Um, but then I received an email from the GM from GSK Taiwan. Hey, Carmen, I'm looking for an EA, and I think you are the one. Um, so at first I thought, okay, thank you for thinking about me. So I sent her an email. But as you know, I don't speak Mandarin, so I'm not sure, if I can be of any use. And then she said, you know what, Carmen, but I have like 200 people who do speak Mandarin. So just come over. So I came over. We had a talk, and she also told me like I need someone to connect me with my employees who's a bit more warmer than I am, maybe more approachable. And she says, and also you with your background, I'm looking for someone who can help me to develop my employees. And she says, I don't know. She said, I just think I need you. Well, Monica, so I started working there like 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks later, 2 weeks later. So we had to talk. I still remember because I think my first day was like November 7th. And I arrived the year before, like October 28th. So I did it. So maybe okay, so officially I started a bit later, but still within that year time period. Yeah, I found the job, and 2 weeks later, um, I started, and I treated myself at that time for a short trip to Bali by myself, just to celebrate that, oh my God, I did it. Like I moved to a different country. I set myself a goal. Don't ask me how, but I achieved, and I'm gonna start a new journey in 2 weeks. So that's actually how that happened. And you can imagine, like in that year, like of course there was a lot of frustration and a lot of doubting myself. And why did you quit your job? Why did you leave your career? Why did you leave your friends and family? um, why? Um, and all I can say is like I felt I just needed to be there, and I also felt like I don't want to have any regrets. I want to go on this adventure, and maybe a year later, if I don't find a job, at least I have a wonderful experience, or maybe not so wonderful, but just an adventure. But it turned out to uh, go differently. Yeah.
So that is super cool because I think that was, that's you've got a lot of layers to talk about. That's one part of it.
Yeah.
Especially when people think about right now going down that path and that journey, and there's some roadblocks
Mm,
because, of course, the world's changed. And we haven't
yes.
even talked about how that was for you there,
Yeah.
experiencing a new culture, a new country in the pandemic. So I'd love to hear about that from you. But I
Yep.
think what's really interesting, Carmen, is that either you choose, it's all about a choice that you make.
Yes.
The intention that you make will always guide you to the right place. Would you agree?
Yeah. I would agree. I would agree. Like for me, and even though in that journey, of, we all have our emotions and our, um, the voice in our head who will try to 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 move us away from what we actually want to do or need to do. Like I have that voice all the time. But I think it's just you know, going ahead in your direction. And I really believe that eventually, like, you will get there where you need to be. And it's just like, honestly, for me, like, just really listening to your inner voice and to your inner gut, and to go for it, um and just go out of that comfort zone, and just trust that eventually, it will work. You will be where you need to be. And maybe along the journey you might not have the feeling, and there will be obstacles, and even people will be like, Carmen, even for in that year, but Carmen, honestly, you'll never find a job. You will never find a job. But for me, I'm the type of person, can be annoying, but I'm the type of person, if someone says, Carmen, but you cannot and you won't. Oh, really? Well, let's wait and see. Um, so I really feel, so that's like only one part of the journey, right? So I started within GSK. I never worked as an EA, so for me it was also like, yeah, but what does an EA do? And I don't know the culture, like, so it was all new. And for me, I just felt like, you know what, I'm just going to be myself. I have a lot of experience, so I'll just trust on being me. And I know that sounds a bit corny, like, trust on being you. But for me, I really felt, I'll just be who I am. Um, and then I guess it will it will be okay. Um, so now I've been working within GSK for 2 years now. I started as a contractor, so I got a permanent contract, a contract. And then the GM who hired me, she actually left the company uh, a year later. So again, like, uncertain times, interim GM. um, but in that period, I really became to love the company, to love the people. So I felt like, you know what, my next goal will be to be a permanent employee. But then again, people are like, Carmen, you're a foreigner, like, it's not gonna happen. Oh, really? Yeah, it's even not possible. Oh, you think so? Well, I think it's possible. So I got a new GM last November from the US. He was a bit surprised. I wasn't a permanent employee, because he felt like, but Carmen, like, you're the glue to this company. Like, I don't understand. So he told me, the first thing I will do if I officially am installed in this role, I will get you a permanent contract. So I got my permanent contract within GSK in the beginning of this year. So again, like a milestone, because people said, Carmen, it's not gonna happen. Well, it did. So again, just, I don't know, it's also think about, like, speaking up, and you know saying what you want, because I think a lot of times we keep it for ourselves, and then we have this inner voice who will start the dialogue with you, like, but you know what, you don't deserve that, you cannot do that, are you crazy? um so then, because I in the green room, we didn't talk about this, but growing up, I had a very challenging childhood, to say, very challenging. But what always kept me going was my dream to be a contemporary dancer. So that was actually my goal. And even though at home wasn't that, to say the least, pleasant, like when I would go to the ballet studio, like, I would feel at home, and I would feel myself, and I would feel like, that's what kept me going. So that was my dream, to be a contemporary dancer. But unfortunately, I got ill, so I had to stop. Do you say that, Monica? Stop that dream, quit that dream, give up that dream? I
Maybe pause the dream. Did you pause the dream?
oh, I paused the dream, Monica, for about 20 years. 20 years. So for me, like, I always had my passion for dance, and every time when I would go to a show, I would be like, oh my God, it should be me. honestly, I always would feel like it should be me on the stage. So on my bucket list, I wrote, before I die, I want to be on stage one more time. If I stand on stage, I'm good. If I can be just like an extra who stands, I'm all good. So this spring, in April, May, one of my colleagues, he said, "Hey, Carmen, there's a Flamingo workshop here in Taipei, and I know you always talk about how much you love dance, and also your interest in flamenco." So she said, "Yeah, just enroll for the workshop." Her name is Freya, so I really want to mention her name. So I said, "No, Freya, come on. I haven't danced for 20 years. I'm old. I cannot do that." Um, because you needed to submit like a form because there were only like limited spots. So she was like, "Carmen, but I honestly, I know, I feel you need to do this again. Like somebody else felt I needed to do this." So then on the last, so I had all these excuses. I'm busy, work, blah blah blah. So on the last day of the submission, I was working from home, and she called me, said, "Hey, did you enroll?" I said, "No, but you know what? It's the last day, so." "Oh yeah, and it's in Mandarin, and my Mandarin is not that good." So she said, "Well, actually, I already helped you to fill in the form, so we can go through it, and then you can still send it." So I thought, okay, you know what? Let's do it. I probably won't be selected for that workshop, but let's do it. So I did it, and then I thought, this is also just part of my journey, getting out of my comfort zone. And even if, I don't get selected for the workshop, whatever, it's all good. The same evening, I get a message, "Carmen," of course in Mandarin. So it wasn't, "Hey, Carmen," but "Carmen, we are welcoming you for our flamenco dancing workshop for 4 days." So I thought, you know what? I'm not going to do this because it will be 4 days in Mandarin. It will be too challenging. So I called the director of the dance studio, and I told her, I have to be honest, I'm a foreigner. My Mandarin skills are not that good. So she said, "But Carmen, dancing is about emotion and about connecting. So it's okay that you don't speak the language." Oh, honestly, I thought, oh shit, now I need to go. So I went. Um, the first, so it was like 4 days of um, classical dance, flamenco, drama, but obviously everything in Mandarin. And then what I didn't know is that at the end of the 4 days, there was an audition. Um, so I went there, and I just felt, you know what, I'm just gonna enjoy this. And for me, Monica, like I remember like standing next to the bar and just hearing the music, like my heart opened up. I think I cried like the first 5 minutes because I felt like reconnected to myself again. But there were all these girls like 20 years younger, so flexible, and they're like semi-professional dancers with a classical ballet background, or even at that time working as a professional dancer. And there's me, Carmen, the foreigner, haven't danced for 20 years, except for, maybe in the club or, in my living room. So I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to enjoy this journey, enjoy this feeling, enjoying to connect with these people. Fourth day, audition day. So I even thought, you know what, I'm just going to do this audition. Why not? And they will choose these girls who are like 20, and they can put up their leg in, all the way up there. So I really enjoyed it. And what I didn't know, because there were like 5 judges, but there was apparently like this famous Taiwanese producer, and the director of the National Taiwan Opera, the director of the National Taiwan Symphonic Orchestra. So everyone was nervous, but I just felt like, you know what, this is just so amazing. I'm in Taipei. I did this workshop. I'm dancing again. I'm doing an audition. I won't be picked, but you know, again, I'm just doing it and getting out of my comfort zone. Um, so I was quite relaxed, actually. So I also was encouraging everyone, just enjoy. It's about the journey. It's not about, you get the part. Um, and then Monica, like you cannot imagine my surprise. So we finished like the whole audition. I forgot like half of my dance steps, but I'm just like, I'm just gonna flaunt it and just, keep on smiling. I got one of the parts. So I was chosen to be one of the 15 dancers for this amazing collaboration. So with the dance studio, so it's a Flamingo dance school, the National Taiwan Opera, the National Taiwan Symphonic Orchestra, to be in a premiere of Manuel de Falla. He's a Spanish composer, uh, not alive anymore, but it was the first time this type of production it was a world premiere, and all of that I didn't know. So 3 months, like I've trained and danced for like 20-25 hours per week. And then the end of last September we had our premiere in Taichung, that's more in the south of Taiwan. It was a world premiere. The conductor they flew in from Spain, Manuel Busto. He was quarantined for 2 weeks just to do this show. It was broadcasted live through YouTube. So that on itself, so for me on a personal note, like, oh my God, I'm on stage, but actually it's a professional show, and it's like a big thing, world premiere, National Taiwan Opera, National Taiwan Orchestra. And that at the same time, in this pandemic, like I was dancing there in a sold out venue, um, being broadcasted live. So for me, a childhood dream came true. And at the same time, to be part of that, like, in the recent times we live in now, that made it even extra, even surreal. So we had 2 days of performance, 2 days in a sold out venue. And for me, I just walked around again like, oh my God, I'm standing here backstage. I'm dancing with these professional dancers. We are here. So I'm living a childhood dream, like unbelievable, but even bigger than I could ever imagine, even growing up, like dancing in a foreign country with different cultures. I don't speak the language. I managed to, memorize the whole choreography, like all of that. And then at the same time, oh my God, I'm here. Like 2/3 of the world is in lockdown. Artists, musicians, they cannot, I'm looking for words how to say that in English. Like they cannot work, they cannot perform, they cannot live their passion. And I'm here in Taichung. There's an audience, and it's honestly, yeah, honestly, Monica, it's so surreal. And then on that note, I think I'm very lucky to be in Taiwan, because when I hear people, family and friends talk about, it's their 8th month of lockdown, or it's another lockdown. Um, Honestly, I cannot imagine how that feels. Um, because as I think everyone knows that Taiwan, like right from the get-go, took measurements. So in my experience, I flew back home beginning of this year, and when we were in Europe, the pandemic just started, and we actually felt like, oh, maybe we should stay in Europe because it started right in Asia. Oh my, what should we do? What should we do? You know what? Just let's go home to Taiwan. And then it just was like this roller coaster ride of the pandemic evolving. So in Taiwan, the first period, like they closed the schools. Um, we had to wear masks like from the get-go. We were being temperatured, walking into public buildings, in offices, um, public transportation, like your hands would be sanitized. So that was my reality from that moment on, but never a lockdown. Like we have minimum amount of cases. Most of them are imported cases. So it's such a, so even in this period, right, the pandemic period, being in Taiwan, that's, I think we're very lucky and very blessed, and the people here are also so disciplined. And if the governments make measurements, people follow that. Sometimes when I look at the news and look how things are going in Europe, I'm like, come on, man, just wear the mask or just stay home. But at the same time, like I don't know how it feels when you've been in lockdown for several months and cannot do anything, because here in Taiwan, like the and that's like a minor thing. Yeah. So if I'm in public transportation, I wear a mask. If I go into a public building, I wear a mask. If I go to the office, I have my temperature checked, I wear a mask. But then when I get on the floor where we work, I can take off my mask. And that's that's it. And then of course the downside is we cannot go home to our family and our friends. So that has been a year. So it's really interesting and amazing times, Monica. It's yeah.
So let
Yeah.
me ask you something. I'm dying
Yeah.
to know because I
Yeah.
see how this is all so connected, right?
Yeah.
And so what is your take on, and I would love to know how
Hmm.
spiritual you are
Hmm.
and manifesting. Do you believe
Yeah.
in manifesting, laws of attraction, the power of the universe? Like, what is your,
Yeah. Let me be really honest with you. So growing up, I come from a very religious family. So, we need to go to church, pray, like, you pray before you have your dinner. We go to church with Christmas. But my dad passed away when I was 5 years old. And then for me, that actually was also the moment that my life changed tremendously, because of let's say the partner choice of my mother. um, so for me, and you might think, but what does this have to do with being spiritual or religious? For me, I felt, one, like, okay, if there's a God, why does he take my dad away? And two, if there's a God, why does he bring this evil man in my life, who hurts me and who makes my life um, not pleasant, to say the least? So growing up, I had like a kind of how to say, a difficult relationship with religion. But however, um, I always felt that there was more to life than meets the eye. So despite of everything that was going on in my life, I somehow, I think, unconsciously felt, but there's, even for myself, I always felt, but there has to be some reason why I'm here. um, and there must be a reason why I experience all the things I'm experiencing. um, and there must be something bigger. But I always felt like, growing up, but what that is, I have no clue, honestly. um, but for me, I think, I would guess, I always had a very big, a strong faith and a strong belief that I could, um, like, there was always this voice who would say, but I must be here for some purpose. There there must be, right? So even
or the voice that says, go to Taiwan, go to that
I
networking event,
yeah,
go sign up for that dance class, go
yeah,
practice. There's always that, and being intuitively listening to the voice.
yes. And yeah, I think it's, for me, it's that, it's just intuitively, and just, okay, you know what, I'll just go. And then even, um so as I mentioned, like, so from a young age, unfortunately, I already encountered with a lot of, um the negative sides of humanity, to say. um so even, I was 15 when I left, my elderly home. Do you say that? And again, that was just the voice in my head who said, you need to leave now. You need to go. Get your stuff and go. Looking back now, I think, like, oh my, you were 15. But so I always had this strong connection. And, when that inner voice said, go or do, I just listened to that. So I did that. And to be honest, so I left, my elderly home. Is that correct, Monica? Elderly home? No,
Yeah,
my,
I would say maybe the home that you grew up in, you probably left your mom. Now, what was the reason? Like, why did you all of a
yeah.
sudden leave?
Well, I wouldn't say it was all of a sudden, but it was like a long
The,
period. So
the
five
turning
to,
point. There was a turning
yeah,
point there.
yeah, there was a turning point. Growing up, as I said, like, I encountered, unfortunately, a lot of negative, the black, the dark side of humanity. So it was, after like 10 years of, yeah, abuse, from my mother's new partner, and, no support from her, that I just felt, it's enough. It's enough. But looking back, I'm like, I have nieces and nephews now who are 15. Like, oh my God, they're so young. Like, they're so young. You shouldn't, like, no one should have to make a decision like that when you're a teenager. So for me, it was just a turning point, Monica, that I felt like I deserve better than this. Nobody needs to treat someone else this, and make someone feel they're not worthy. Um, Again, because I've always felt like, because, I'm here, so deal with it. So it was a turning point. So I just, yeah, I still remember, like, yeah, so I was 15 and a half, and I just got home, like another, yeah, how do you say, I always call it like Sodom and Gomorrah. And I just, I'm gonna take my stuff. And the only thing I still remember, because I have a younger brother, I felt like, oh my God, but then I'm gonna leave my younger brother, who at that time he was 11. But I only felt like I need to go now, to, save myself, um, and to take care of myself. And then, maybe somewhere in the future, like, I always felt like I would see him again and we would reconnect, but I just felt I needed to do that. So that was a turning point, Monica. And then, so for me, like, I think, yeah, so I'm not really answering your question, but to answer your question, are you spiritual? Yeah, I am, because I think I'm a highly intuitive person. And despite of everything that happened, like, I always kept faith, I think. And I never stopped, um, believing in, the pure nature of people, and that, in their core, people are good. And I always try to look for that positive in everyone, the positive side and the positive thing in life. um yeah, so at that moment, yeah, so at that time I just felt, I just need to go, and again, listen to that, like, that inner voice. But looking back, sometimes I feel like, wow, you were too young to make the choice. But at the same time, by making that, again, going for it, and making that decision at that time, like, I'm here now, and I have this amazing life, and I'm meeting all these amazing people, and I get to connect with so many people across the globe. Like, I'm talking to you, like, you're in Canada, I'm here. Yeah, so yeah, I am spiritual, and I also feel like you know, I'm a writer, so I will write down my goals and my dreams. Um, and even moving to Taiwan. So after our China experience, I felt like, okay, Beijing, no. If we ever have the chance to go back, don't think so. However, me and my partner are always talking about, you know what, like it would be great, right, to move move again and to go to another country and to experience different cultures. And yeah, so then eventually we are here now. So I do believe in manifesting and in sharing your story and opening up and connecting with people, because I do believe that by doing so, and honestly listen to that, yeah, is it inner voice, is it your heart, is it um but just listen to that and then go for it, and then you'll you know, you'll eventually get there where you need to be. And of course it's not always easy, and it's not always fun, and it can be frustrating and annoying, and uh
I'm going to
all
say
those emotions.
scary. I'm going to say
Oh,
scary.
scary as
Just
hell.
let's so you were 15 and you left,
Yeah,
let's just say your family home. I know you're like,
yeah,
is that an elder home or family home? But at
yeah,
15, how did you support yourself? Like that must have been so incredibly scary, not having
yeah,
a safe environment to go to. Like at 15,
yeah.
my son is 14 and I worry about
Wow.
him all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. So I luckily at that time I created a group of friends around me, and one of their mom, or the mom, one of my friends' mom. Sorry, English is not my name, my native language. So sometimes I'm, but she took me in. She said, Carmen, you know what? So I live with her, and she has two daughters and a son. So she took me in, and I lived with her, I think, for 2 years. And then I just got my own, like, one bedroom, kitchen, small shower apartment in Holland. And I had this, I just work wherever I can through this, how do you call that in English? Like this agency who will get you temporary jobs. So as a temp, so I worked at a bank, I worked at an office. I just did everything just to support myself. And it's also, because I had to, right? I had to take care of myself. Um,
And how did you get all your degrees? How did you do that?
yeah, so when I was 18, I started college. I provided by myself. I worked, and I got a quote of the day. I always get that around 9, and it said, your um, live your most beautiful life. So I just saw that. Yeah, so I supported myself, Monica. So I was working and going to college. And then, as I mentioned, at the same time, I was also uh, very ill. So I had a eating disorder. I had anorexia for almost 11 years. So I also got hospitalized. So the first time, so around 17, when I was 17, 18, was my first hospitalization. So I needed to stop college at that time. And then the second time was when I was 22. But again, those were all, I think, root caused by everything that happened in the past, obviously. And for me, I've been through that. I survived that. If I look at the person I was then, like, I cannot imagine, the person I am now. Because honestly, I feel like, I'm 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 authentic, and I'm pure, and I'm so proud that despite of all that has happened, um, I never lost faith and belief, and I'm still able to care for people and to connect with people and to inspire people. Um, so I'm actually quite proud of that, if I can
And
say so.
yes, yes,
Yes, I
absolutely you
can. I
can.
can. Yes.
And I have always said that your story doesn't define you, it empowers you. And I think that
True.
that is so clear here, Carmen. And I don't know how many times you've told your story. Probably not.
Not so many times.
I didn't
No.
think so many. And I think that's
Yes.
probably part of the really beautiful place that when you do share your story, and as you continue to share your story, um, those bits and pieces of the areas that stretch you, that were really deep deep and dark for you, are
Mm,
also what has been giving you the most beautiful gifts and your strength, and
true.
that sense of wonder and belief in yourself, I think is really beautiful to see, because I could see that going all the way through there and going, you know what, people that have nothing to lose
Mm,
take more of the risk and they get the bigger
true.
results, right?
True.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. And I think it's um, because there was nothing to lose, right? Because um, I was already there. I already needed to take care of myself. Um, and then so you will take a chance because it can only get better. And it did. And it got even better and better and better and better. And so that's why I always feel like, keep, keep on going and keep on believing in yourself. And, don't let anyone like define who you are, and don't let people define who you are. And that's also a journey, right? Because people have told me like a gazillion times, like that I'm nothing and I'm not worthy, and I will never achieve anything. But I guess for me that always was the fuel. And also because I had the strong belief that I can be whoever I want to be and become whoever I want to be, even though like I'm not the type of person. I never had like this, except for my contemporary dance dream. Like I never, some people are really like focused, right? When I'm 40, I want to be the CEO of so and so and so, or I want to become a specialist in that area. For me, I never had that direction, and that sometimes also scared me. But now I feel like, being being me and sharing my story and living my life the way I'm living it, that's my way of connecting, and that's my way of inspiring people, and that's my way in motivating people, and just feeling grateful and blessed every day of, even now, like I'm looking outside, I'm like, can you imagine, like I'm here in Taiwan. Who would have thought? I'm here in Taiwan. I had these amazing adventures. I found a job. I had my dance experience here, being on stage again after 20 years. 20 years with professional dancers. Yeah, right. It's just amazing. It's really amazing. So I'm really grateful for that. Really. And now I'm here, talking to you. It's just, yeah,
Well, what
I
I
don't know.
find so great is that that you are sharing this and how relatable it is to women that are going through transition right now, right?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
there's, if you're going through, and everybody's going through a different part right now. And if we were to say this is a great big ocean, some people have barely a life preserver, some people are still treading water, and some people are cruising in a yacht, right? Everybody's at a
Yeah.
different place. And so I love your authenticity and your excitement and your passion. And, this is me. And I think that women need to step into owning their story. Not every woman is going to have the same story. And that's the beauty of it, right? But yet
Yeah.
still carving your own path, having your own goals. experiencing life in your own way and utilizing your gifts that you have. Like I love your dance story. That 5-year-old girl never giving up on her dream, is so
No.
beautiful to be standing on a stage in the middle of a pandemic, right? Which is
Yes,
pretty cool.
it's amazing, amazing. It's even, if I look at the pictures and look at the YouTube video, I'm still like, wow, it's amazing. Yeah, so for me, that's something I'm really proud of and grateful that I had the chance to experience that.
So it wouldn't be Woman of Inspiration podcast without asking
Yeah,
you, who is
yeah.
your woman of inspiration? Who inspires you, Carmen?
Wow. Do I need to pick one?
Nope.
There's so, honestly, for me, there are so many women who inspire me. Like, for example, the director of the dance studio who I met, she's an amazing woman. Like, she also had the dream to become a dancer at a young age. But she got married, 2 kids. So she also stopped dancing. And I think when she was, so that was like her early 20s. Then at age 25, she divorced um, and went to Spain to study Flamingo, her dream. And then she came back to Taiwan and started this dance studio with little resource, actually with nothing. But she was so passionate. And now the dance studio, I think they just had their anniversary of, I think, around 20 years. And again, like, she had this dream. She got some distractions, got off her path of life, and then she got back on it, and she's living her dream. So for me, like, she's um, a very inspirational woman. Linda Cruz, who you also know, like, she lives out of her suitcase, going to these remote places in the world to help the local people to build up their lives and their villages, and helps them to rebuild their lives again. I met Linda 1.5 year ago. Like, yeah, like, so amazing, so inspiring, and she's trying to connect all these people together, but completely having her life in the light of others, and helping those people who really need it, uh, going to places where other people wouldn't even think of going to go. Um, so she's this whole bundle of light and positive energy, and also doing what she feels she needs to do. The women around me, like, even I have an amazing bunch of colleagues at the office, and they all, like, as you said, like, they all have their own story, and they all have their own challenges and their own obstacles in life, and so especially the last year, right, to see them grow, and also to see them step out of their comfort zone. And um yeah, I almost feel like I'm this mom. I have these motherly feelings for them, but they inspire me, right? They how they deal with their challenges of not being able to go home because of the pandemic. I have a colleague, she's also a foreigner. She's here by herself. Her family uh, is not here. She cannot, fly back, but she shows up every day being radiant and positive, and, empowering her team. Um, Also living the life, because it's a choice, right? It's her choice to do this. Um, but I also know it must be lonely for her, right, without her family, especially in these times. But she's there, and she's open, and she's connecting, and she's positive. So she also inspires me. So I think I find inspiration in many people who I meet. My old dance teacher, very strict and very like never satisfied, and but she was always the one, who pushed me, and to go out of my comfort zone, and to work hard, and to go for it. Um, and I must mention my grandmother, because for me she was always my oracle to say. She was also very intuitive, and um, but until like I actually took care of her like in the last weeks of her life, but still, until the end, always taking care of herself, like always making sure her hair was nice, putting in earrings, making sure like she was always wearing a bracelet, or putting on a nail polish, but always making sure she felt comfortable in the way she looked, always kind and friendly to others, always helpful, um, always love for other people. And I think she taught me that there's always good in anyone. um, First of all, you need to take care of yourself, um, because if you do so, you can take care of other people. um, yeah, so I think actually, like, fundamentally, she always from a distance, like she taught me, she inspired me a lot.
Well, I love hearing how, and this is true for many women, is it's the everyday women that
Yeah,
walk beside us and that in our inner circles that are so busy with their head down, working and working hard at what is important to them, whether it be raising their family, working, building a business, working, developing their career. Those are the women that inspire us all. And I would just like to say thank you so much for sharing your story and being so authentic. I really look forward to continuing the conversation with you. It sounds like an incredible adventure, Carmen. And thank
yeah,
you to all of our listeners that are listening today. I hope that Carmen's story was inspiring you to, reach out and to take action on your dreams, whatever they might be, is just take action on them fearlessly. Just move forward, set some goals, set some timelines, but that the rest put into autopilot, as I call it. So if you enjoyed this show, I really would encourage you to share the podcast, share the message with another woman who could really benefit from this conversation today. So thank you again, Carmen. I
you're
look forward to
welcome.
if anybody wants to get a hold of you, how should they do that?
Yes, because how should they do that? I think,
LinkedIn.
oh yeah, LinkedIn. Thank you. Just LinkedIn. Just send me a message, and I'm always looking forward to connect with as many people as I can. So just send me a message on LinkedIn.
Awesome.
All
And
good.
maybe put
Yeah.
in the message box where you were connected. So say Woman of
Yeah.
Inspiration podcast. Thank you for the great interview, Carmen. I love your
Thank
authenticity.
you.
And then that might actually spark where they actually heard. So thank you again. It's my
Thank
evening,
you.
it's your morning. So I hope you have a great rest of your day. Happy
I
holidays.
will. Yeah,
And
same to you.
thank you so much. And I appreciate having the conversation with you tonight. And listeners, again, this is the Woman of Inspiration podcast. And we were speaking with Carmen all the way from Taiwan, which is 15 hours away from where we are. But thank you for sharing the time and for this wonderful way that we can now communicate so freely.
Amazing.
It,
Yes.
it's just brought our world so much closer together, has it not?
It did. It did. Well, thank you, Monica, for having me, and having this conversation with me, and also thank you for inspiring all these women across the globe, and yeah, for inviting me for this talk. So
More to
looking forward
come,
to
more to come.
more
I've
to
got some
come.
ideas floating around here,
Okay,
Carmen.
cool. Thank you so much, Monica, and also happy holidays, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much. Bye, Carmen.
Bye, Monica. Thank you.